Hi, and welcome back. We're now in 2020. Happy New Year. I know I'm super late in saying that, and that's because I've been having traveling going on, the stomach flu going around. That's always fun. And I've had multiple friends moving, so it's just been crazy and hectic, and well, honestly, has just given me a reason to procrastinate. The problem with that is that the longer it takes you to get back to something, the harder it is to do, which I feel we always fall into that trap at the end of the year, right? Whether it's on a diet or a project you want to work, holidays just keep popping up, from Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then whichever holiday you celebrate at the end of the year, and then of course New Year's, and it all just feels like a lot. But it needs to stop being an excuse to not get to things. For me personally, I think I just need to plan more ahead, and I'm not calling that my resolution because here's the thing, resolutions don't really work. I think most of us know this by now, and that's because it sounds really good in the moment, but all the energy, all the hype, it's too much, and I feel like it kills most things. So maybe think more about the intention that you want for the rest of the year. You know, not necessarily, oh, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds by some suit season, but maybe your intention could be, I'm going to be healthier in 2020. And then give yourself little attainable goals, like, you know, cutting something out of your diet really slowly, or I don't know, I'm not a professional in this matter. That's just what I recommend. So artistically, my goal is to get back to the videos, and I got really scrambled. I was starting to find a groove, but I think what happened is I found a bunch of different mediums, and then especially when I started to fall in love with oils, the thing is that's really hard to do a oil painting, you know, all in one go, because sometimes you have to let it dry. I know there's painters, you know, Bob Ross is the signature wet on wet technique. It's okay. I'm gonna try it a little bit more as I continue to learn oils, but I think I really do like letting my layers dry, because I don't think of my paintings as much in sections where I see people paint in these sections. I really do think more in layers, and this is all the way in the background, this is all the way in the foreground, and I need to get better at planning. That is probably my big thing. I need to plan, because I've got some more stuff coming up this next week, going back to class, and obviously I need to plan my videos. So whether it's we do half of an oil painting sometimes, and then I'll come back the next day or a couple days later with the second part of that painting, that might happen. Or if I can get really good at planning, I'll film it in sections and have something else that I'm working on for my daily video. But I didn't want to get bogged down in that, especially until I fully complete my 365 days. Today is day 91. And I really do want to get back to posting daily, with the exceptions of I'm going to keep Sundays as my prep day. That's just my day to catch up, take stock, and I don't have to worry about it. Maybe if I get super on top of things and I have videos ready to go, I might start posting on Sunday, but that's a huge what if, and that's kind of down the road. So before we start today, I do have a black canvas ready. We are going to be doing oil painting. I have to pick up Nori real quick. All right, and Nori says a happy new year to everyone. His goal for this year is just more cuddles. That is all that he wants, and he is a needy child. Hi. Yes, I know. Okay. Well, we're getting ready to paint though, so Nori is actually going to sit on his bench that I'm going to put him on to the side here. And before we get started, what I wanted to talk to you about is just the products that I'm using, because the last big oil painting I did, I showed you guys a couple of new things, but I didn't really talk about any of them or what they are. And I'm hoping that you're learning with me. So let's take a look at some of those things. We are apparently not getting through this without a crying cat at my feet unless I hold him. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna show you, this is Gamsol. It's by Gamblin, which is a big name in oil paints. And I really like it. It truly does hold up. I'm just gonna hold him like a baby. It really does hold up as far as being odorless. Like, compared to any other thinner that I've tried, this is truly odorless, and I love that. That makes me crazy excited. So this is the thinner that I'm using. You can use it to clean your brushes. You can technically also use it as a thinner for your oil paints, but I have some different products that I want to show you first. So for all essence, if you're used to acrylic painting, you can pretty much think of this paint thinner like water for your acrylic paints. I mean, that's pretty much what it's gonna do. You can thin it, you're gonna clean them out with it. You need to have a bottle. This was not too expensive, and again, it truly is odorless. I don't smell it like I do the other ones. Highly recommend this one. Now, to mix with the thinner, I also showed you guys a different product that I haven't used a whole lot yet. I feel like I need to get in some oil classes first and figure out a little bit more about the technicalities of it before I use too much of this. This is also by Gamblin. All of my oil products right now are. I'm not sponsored by them. It's just after doing some research. They really are a pretty, I would say, budget-friendly option. I'm gonna say more on that when I get to the paints because their paints can be expensive, but there is still hope. This is Stand Oil by Gamblin. It's very thick, and essentially it's supposed to increase the viscosity and the gloss of your paint. However, it does slow drying time, and you're supposed to use this really sparingly, and think about that. So if you don't know, oil paints take however thick the layer is. It can take a couple of days to dry to, you know, a couple of months to dry if you had some really thick oil paint. And you always want to let your oil paintings dry completely before you put any sort of varnish over top of them, because you'll mess up the oil paint underneath. So this is used sparingly, and also it's not even supposed to be used on its own. You're actually supposed to mix it with thinner. That's how potent this stuff is. It's essentially thicker linseed oil. Linseed oil is something else I found that you can use to thin out your paints, be able to, you know, increase gloss, increase the way that they glide over your canvas. Overall, it's pretty good. Again, I haven't messed with this too much. I did use linseed oil before I got any of these other products though, and linseed oil works pretty good, but I will attest to the fact that it makes it take a lot longer to dry, and I don't know that I have the patience for that. Okay, next, this is the product I actually really enjoy. This is, I'm totally gonna mess up pronouncing it, Galkyd, Galkyd. This is another oil painting medium, and a little thing like this. This is another thing that will thin your colors, apply them to the canvas. It does increase transparency, which is something to keep in mind, especially if you're using opaque colors. I really like it. I'm gonna love it for the technique today because the first layer I'm putting down is all gonna be transparent. It makes the oil paints glide over the canvas really, really well, and this actually increases the drying time. So unless you painted it super thick, the layers painted with this should dry within 24 hours. And I haven't painted enough to really test that claim. I totally should. Maybe we'll do a really thin layer today and I'll let it dry, and then I can come back tomorrow and let you guys know if it actually dried or not. So that's the other big thing I use. You just use this straight. You don't have to dilute it with anything. It is literally just this stuff. Here are the two paints that I wanted to show you. These are both the Gamblin brand. I actually accidentally bought this version of the titanium white. I didn't mean to, but it's really good for showing my purpose today. So this is the standard Gamblin packaging. These are more expensive. This is artist quality as far as I understand. A lot of people in the forums that talk about oil paint say that this is pretty good. And then here is also by Gamblin, but it's their 1980 brand. And this is much more in the realm of like student grade pricing. So it's a lot cheaper, and I believe it was probably meant for students. But the thing is, I haven't really noticed a difference between the regular and the 1980, or at least I'm not versed enough in oils to notice a difference. According to the different forums, this is almost identical to their regular brand. It's so much cheaper. So if you're wanting to get into oil paints and you're wanting to start off with quality that isn't going to deter you and just detract from the frustration of working with cheap materials and you feel like you're not getting the results that you want, go for this. This is much, much cheaper, and the results have been just fine. I've liked it so far. And then as far as paintbrushes go, I have an assortment here. I have a large flat brush. I've got some little tapered brushes. I've got a stiff fan brush, and I've got a couple of palette knives here as well. I've got them all just sitting in this beautiful purple mug. And because what I like to do is pull the brushes aside that I think I want, and then you never know, I could still walk over to my brushes and find something else I need. But for the most part, I think I should be able to achieve everything I want with those brushes. I don't think I even need all of those brushes today. All right, that covers all of the materials that we are going to be using today. I've got my black canvas ready behind me. Let's paint.